I came to New York with $1,000 in my pocket. There were things that really interested me about learning about the city. I was very interested in childcare, racial issues, education.
Stanley Shuman's interest in New York issues continued as he thrived in the financial world. That led to an invitation from then-Governor Hugh Carey to help during the 1970s fiscal crisis. He joined the Emergency Financial Control Board.
Governor Hugh Carey of New York told Congress today that default by New York City would be an economic Pearl Harbor.
And we really had supermario authority in the fact that we had to approve of all labor contracts, all large production contracts. And mayors used to complain that it impinged on their prerogatives, but actually they loved it because they could hide behind the advice of the control board and say it wasn't them, it was us. So it was a system that worked, and it worked well.
No other city had done anything like this. Shuman knew it was unique.
I think there are any number of major corporations that are headquartered in the city that would make the decision to move out the moment you went into default.
We had no choice because that was the price we had to pay for the government guarantee of the bonds, and it was very simple. We couldn't go bankrupt.
Shuman devoted 19 years to the control board. He answered the call to public service again after 9/11, accepting a post on the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation.
I spend my life problem solving, which I enjoy, and that was a critical problem because there was a great deal of controversy as to what should be done to rebuild it, as you know, and who should be there and who should not be there. And the governor was involved in some censorship with respect to who should be there and who shouldn't, so it was quite controversial, which is always interesting.
He also served on an international advisory board for President Clinton and got to spend a night in a White House guest room.
Bill came in around midnight with 4 cans of Diet Coke, and we talked till 5 in the morning, and it was really quite an extraordinary evening. And those opportunities don't come up often from a small-time kid coming to New York.
Shuman understands the current fiscal difficulties of the city and state. He does not think the city will bounce back automatically.
Certainly the talent is here to do it, but it needs leadership to pull them together, and I don't see that leadership yet.
Shuman has also devoted himself to Carnegie Hall and a number of other cultural and educational causes, all a part of preserving the city in general.
I think preserving neighborhoods and structures are very important because it's part of our historical heritage, and how do you learn if you don't see what the past brought to the future? Being involved in the examination of that succession is really very interesting and very vital to the city.
Please welcome Stan Shuman.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. And Peg, thanks for that lovely introduction, which I very much appreciate. And also to my old friend Steve Lash, who isn't here today, but has always sort of urged me to become more involved in landmarks. And I'm very happy to be here. I was very fortunate to come to New York for a year in 1961, and it's now been 64 years here. And for a Bostonian to say I love New York is a little bit sacrilegious, but I do. And I am still a lifetime Red Sox fan, however. I've had the privilege, because I wanted to integrate myself into the fabric of the social fabric and the cultural fabric of the city when I came here. And I was fortunate enough to have several opportunities to do that, and became involved, as Peg said, with Carnegie Hall, and astonishingly enough, with Jim Wolfenson and Isaac Stern at the time. In the 70s, they were going to tear the hall down. And when you talk about preservation and landmarks, there's a primary example of what could happen if things go wrong. My former wife started a 501c3 called Public Color, where she goes into communities and paints schools and police stations vibrant colors instead of the drab colors that they are, creates team building, gives scholarships, restores those communities, and things we're really very, very proud of. When 9/11 came, Mayor Bloomberg asked if I would serve on that committee, as Peg said, and at Carnegie Hall at the time, we were dark for 600 nights, which for a consumer-facing organization is quite astonishing. And when it opened, we had the Philadelphia Orchestra and Yu Zhuan. Everybody was joyous to be there, and if they played chopsticks, they would have got standing applause. It's quite really extraordinary. I've always felt that to have curiosity and passion for what you do is sort of the bellwether of succeeding and creating value for people, and I've tried to instill that in my children and my mentees as they were over time. And there's a old Mandarin saying that I've always liked called translates to, a planned life is a closed one. It can only be endured but never fully enjoyed. And that always stuck with me. Everybody, I think, has to have goals, but there are so many ways of achieving those goals. You really have to jump in and contribute. And I've had the good luck to be able to do that. So I won't take more of your time, but I'm very grateful to be here, and I thank you all very much. And I will say one thing. We are back close to the 70s in terms of the city's fiscal situation. The promising deficits are huge. In the 70s, attrition was a large part of the success of bringing the city back. That will not work today. The headcount is so far aligned that there are going to be substantial layoffs. And in today's environment, that's going to be a real problem in the city. So people ought to be very careful about who they choose as their leadership. It is a very important time, and we should all jump in and participate. So thank you very much for this honor, and I appreciate it. Thank you.